2 weeks I have been staying at my parents' house with nothing but the Darling music video to keep me company. And I know we have all moved on from Darling, we're in our hot era. Actually, I'm in my Don Quixote era. But I still have so many questions about the Darling music video. So I'm reaching out. If someone can answer some of these questions, please let me know, because I truly haven't been sleeping because of this. For example, the music video starts with a bridge that is sort of like in shambles. So it's like already like, what happened here? Like, you know, like you're sucked in immediately. Then we see our bestie Vernon just sunbathing in the bridge, I guess, facing the sun, one might say. It's like he's meditating, you guys, he's dead. But it does beg the question, how the fuck did he get there? Like, I'm looking, but there's no staircase, no rope, no nothing. So it's like, was he already there when it got destroyed? And how did he get back down? Like, I know his little ankles are broken. Then we see a wall. And you know what is in that wall? Yes, a picture of that same wall. They really thought they did something with that decoration. And like, for continuity reasons, I'm gonna guess that the person that decorated the wall is the same one that's painting on it, and that's John Hand. Like, interior decorator channels want him behind bars. I just know this. Next. Yeah, Jojo's feet. Like, okay, Dan Schneider, put those away, you know? And there are a bunch of cloths in the tub, which is just so inconvenient, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Then a bird flies across the sky and Vernon tries to block the sun with his hand. But guess what? Dun dun dun, he has no shadow. People gasp. He realized this, and then the ground starts to fall apart. We have our title card. I'm like, even more worried. How the fuck is it gonna get down from there? Now we cut to a rustic ass clock, I would guess. But what's important is that it has a pin that's stopping the clock. Now we can get like sort of really philosophical in here. You know, if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and nobody hears it, did it really fall? And this is sort of like, if the clock isn't moving, time is really passing, that kind of thing. Both answers to those questions are yes, by the way. But we're going to pretend like it's some ancient magical clock for the sake of the plot. Then, one of my biggest pet peeves. I see this shit all the time in K-dramas. Reading together, like, no, that's so annoying. Like, first we have to both find a position that it's comfortable for the both of us. Like, I know Scoop's next is gonna be sore tonight, you know? And one has to either ask if the other person is done reading, or the other one has to like signal the other one that it's time to turn the page or something. Like, just read the book after I'm finished. Like, no one's saving time doing this. Now we get a better look at our home, and I can't lie, like, the absolute slide of Sloan here. Those set designers like need a raise ASAP. Okay, right here, I'm just gonna mention the fact that we're supposed to be seeing Wonu from the toaster's perspective. POV, you're a toaster, but the lights are behind him when they're supposed to be on top of him. I'm just gonna mention that. You know, I have many questions, and this is one of them. What I actually want to talk about is the pile of books behind him. That's just straight up evil. Whoever did this is going to jail. Like, you have bookcases and they're not even full. I can see them. I'm begging you to pick those up. You don't need me to say this, but these boys have never played Scrabble in their lives. Why are they all playing at the same time? Like, 1, 2, 3. 3 hands on the board. 3 hands. I'm sorry. I'm flipping the table. I'm sorry. So the random letters on the board, and it looks like they're spelling shadow, grow, and dream. So they may not be playing Scrabble, but they sure are playing dumb. There are 2 very important things in this screenshot. Number 1, the book Lucky 7, which I thought it alluded to the fact that they just celebrated their 7th anniversary. But just in case, I looked it up, you know? And it turns out that it's a book about a queer chosen family group of friends that go on fun adventures together.
Bruh.
And if that doesn't describe carrots, I don't know what will. The second thing is actually connected to the next screenshots because I need to talk about the lyrics. This is hard for me because I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I'm a linguist. In linguistics, we're not supposed to see grammar as a set of rules and more like the embodiment of this person's experience and knowledge about the world. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna judge the grammar, okay? I can't stop thinking about it ever since the video came out, especially because the night it came out, I was with my friends who are also linguists, and I was like, you guys, we gotta watch this. It's the 17 comeback. It was my first 17 comeback, and I just had to sit there and watch as they had committed a crime. I mean, like, I get it, you know, like syllable counting, rhyme scheme, making a song flow must be a pain in the ass, and I'm annoying for saying this.
That is not correct.
Dino is asking for my DNA. Like, my blood type, I get, because that's a thing in Korea, right? I'm a type O, by the way, so I looked it up to see what it meant, and it says that I'm self-centered and unstable. She read me like a book. But the DNA thing, is he like worried about a genetic disorder? Like, because there's a lot of heart failure in my family. Is this important? Do you want to hear this? Getting back to the story, they seem to be like the only kiddos in this universe, and it looks like they're used in a church, maybe some sort of building, like a theater. Oh, also, the amount of sunflowers in this music video, like, they were really spelling it out for us. Now, if you don't care, I won't judge you, and you can skip this nerdy talk. I will put a time stamp here. One of my true passions is etymology, or the origin of words. So I look up sunflower, and it's actually a direct translation from the Greek helianthus. I'm sorry, Greek. Helios means sun and anthus means flower. And I also went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, and like the moment I click on a Wikipedia article, like it's over for me. I read a Greek myth that a nymph was in love with the sun god Helios. Am I pronouncing that right? I should have looked that up. But he was not into her, so she died, and Zeus turned her into a flower, and that's how sunflowers came to be. But anyway, that's not my point. I wanted to know the etymology of sunflower in Spanish, because in Spanish it's girazo, literally sun turner. All other Latin languages have some sort of turn aspect in their words for sunflower. The thing is, no one could explain to me why we deviated from literal sun and flower. So if anyone has any information about this, all etymology heads out there, by far the best discovery I made while I was down the rabbit hole is that some cultures call it the trumpet of love.
What?
Oh, now let's talk about Lucy's absolute psychopathic behavior right here. So he finds a cord, right? Just laying around, I guess. And he straight up stabs a teddy bear in the heart with it. Like, sir, what are you doing this for? What did that teddy bear do to you? Vernon barges in, and he's kind of the party pooper in the story. Like, hasn't it occurred to you that maybe we want to live in delusion? Also, sidetracking from the visuals to talk about the lyrics, the use of darling as a verb just because it ends with ing. Like, I am strict with my grammar, but I kind of love it because they are technically wrong, that is true, but they're also kind of seeing it from another angle, and it's kind of really fun for me. And if you're wondering, yes, I looked up the etymology of darling, and it turns out it's composed from the stem of deer and an Old Norse suffix ling, which is used to form nouns. So they have my blessing in this nonsense. Okay, so Vernon talks to the rest of the guys, and Dino and Sungkwan are kind of giving Oscar performances right now. And Joshua is not convinced at all. Look at him. So Vernon's like, C3 mate. So we see the flower's shadow, and in the background we can read, believe, real, remember. Which is all an elaborate plan to spell fear, because it is surely not a sentence. The words in itself like relate to the whole plot and theme of not facing reality, right? But who would write that? Like, what was the context? Was it a challenge? Like, quick, write a noun, an adjective, and a verb that we don't want to hear. Then Vernon pulls Joshua's hand towards the light, and guess what? Dun dun dun! He doesn't have a shadow. Everyone's shocked. People are screaming and crying, especially Hoshi. He's so shocked, in fact, that he drops the vase he was casually holding. And you can tell there's no parental figure around, because this bitch tries to pick it up, the glass, with his bare hands. Because if a mom was around, like, you know she would be close enough the area, like some murder was committed there. Cut to Hoshi doing God knows what, right? Like, he's actually putting a clock on a fishbowl, and he's so amused by this, right? We need to get him a hobby ASAP, STAYC girls. And the clock says boyhood. So they're trying to stop time in order not to become adults, which, as someone in her 20s, like, I can so relate. Hoshi cuts his hand while trying to pick up the glass. I'm sorry, but you kind of deserve it, you little safety hazard. June is stripping the popcorn wall texture away, as he should. That is disgusting. And yes, I looked up popcorn texture in Google, and it turns out that it's actually used for soundproofing. So the delusion is kind of like on another level. Then we take a step back, and June looks so baffed. And also the wallpaper behind the popcorn wall was a prophecy. Just, you know, just a side note. But, you know, the important thing here is that June looks so baffed. So he takes a wooden box out of the bathtub, which is apparently used as storage at this point, you know? He opens the box, and inside there's a compass. And did I learn how to read a compass just for this? Yes. Yes, I did. Because I didn't know what the numbers meant, and the arrow is pointing at 270, which now I know means west. I am in the know, compass buddies. And it shouldn't, right? It shouldn't point west. So I look up online, how can this happen? And I fell into a really weird rabbit hole of like dimensions and magnets at nanoscopic level. And I think it just means that they should be heading east. Like, let's say, because that's where like the sun comes up. They even place a little sun in there to make it easier to understand. So once June gets his hand on that compass, it's over, you know? Time starts to speed up, and it kind of looks like they're looking for this place that was hinted at in the prophecy, but it's the same place we were already in. So what is the truth? Are they still playing dumb? Because the painting looks exactly like the building they were already at. So you're telling me you saw that and thought, Jesus, I wonder where that could be. So the kids decide to go in, but one is like, does anyone else feel like this is a bad idea? But they go in anyway. So I'm sorry, dude. I tried looking up what kind of tree the one on the door is, but sadly, I'm not an expert on dendrology yet. My best guess is an olive tree, but the trunk is like too narrow. But if it is, you know, olive branches represent peace and the end of a battle. So it would kind of check out with where we are at in the story. English. I don't have anything to say about this screenshot. I just thought that it looked really cute and I wanted to share. We also need this as a break because things start to go wrong pretty fast. Sung Kwan walks into the improvised theater and there's like this angelic lighting and petals falling from somewhere, but in reality it's just an abandoned building with the lights off. It was already an abandoned building before, but we just had better lighting. Scoops takes off his blindfold and he finds out he's alone in the world. But aren't we all, buddy? Aren't we all? So Woozy takes a good look at himself in a dirty mirror. I love the fact that he cleans it with his jacket, not with his bare hand like some maniac will do next. And no, that's not technically where his shadow is supposed to be, because the only lighting in this room is next to him, but it's a metaphor. The smiley faces on the wall start to melt, and it was about damn time. Also, if we don't get to properly see this Polaroid of the 8th, it will become my villain origin story. In the corner, there's a jacket that I thought looked a lot like Woozy's, but it was in a different color. I also looked it up online because I have way too much time on my hands, and I couldn't find the jacket in a different color, but I found out that it's actually from a matching suit that has a matching little bucket hat. And I just think about what we could have had. We could have been a proper society. John Han, who I guess he faced the fact that he is a terrible interior designer, now has his shadow and wipes a mirror with his bare hands like an animal. Also, only fucking John Han can look good from that angle. Like, my fucking double chin could never. Can you tell I'm trying not to swear in my videos? The 8 walks into the eye of a hurricane, and the filming the 8 in a different color agenda lives on. In front of him, there's someone who, I don't know if he's leading the way or the others are behind the 8, and it's just like, is everyone sort of scattered in the fog? We don't see any other member aside from these two, so is it a coincidence that the China line is together? I have so many questions. Now, June is seeing his dark version or shadow version or hotter version, maybe? Is it a lie?
There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
June reaches out to his shadow self, but it turns out he was touching a mirror. The mirror shatters, and I assume this is a fantasy mirror, because otherwise my man will be bleeding to death right now. And I wanted to do like a bad luck joke, but I couldn't remember if it was 7 or 8 years, so I looked it up. I fell down another rabbit hole.
She's a disgrace.
What do you mean, do I want to know how every superstition started? Of course I do. So I clicked on it, and it turns out, listen guys, the Romans thought that the gods would see people through mirrors, so if you broke one, that was like so disrespectful to them, so they would sort of curse you with bad luck. But there was a loophole in this superstition, because the Romans also conveniently believed that the body renewed itself every 7 years. So after 7 years, Jupiter, I guess, was like, hey, where did he go? And you didn't have bad luck anymore. Me when I put my glasses on. The ping stopping the clock breaks. Time starts to move again, and STAYC girls, it's going down. Everyone has their own shadow now. Joshua looks at his darker self, but honestly, he kind of looks exactly the same. And what looked like a field of flowers in this dream, it's a giant wasteland in reality. Also, really quick question. Can rocks look like that? I would look it up, but it's bad for me. I don't want to overload my brain with more information. Just answer yes or no. Can rocks look like that? It is revealed that the light casting a shadow on the guys is held by Vernon, the one who started it all, the main character, we could say. And just like in Infinity War, everyone starts to get dusted. Then we have a couple of scenes of the members all overlapped with each other. I read online that people thought that the Darling music video had some ties with Peter Pan, and I can totally see like the Lost Boy references, but people will say that this was fairy dust, and one, they do not fly at all, so what would be the point of the fairy dust if they do not fly? But two, you can actually see that it's coming like off of them like cells until they dust completely, like decay here. Dicky falls into the hole in the ground because he cannot catch a break. And I like this shot of Dino straight up fighting for his life in the air because everyone else is sort of like parachuting, but Dino is screaming and crying his way into a concussion. I know now why Wonu has a terrible side, and it's because he's looking at the sun directly. Like, sir, during a solar eclipse? And I fact-checked this just in case. And watching a full solar eclipse is okay, but a partial solar eclipse like this? No. That's the kiss your retina's goodbye. While I was at it, I also looked up the definition of a solar eclipse because I'm not gonna defend myself anymore. I am a curious person. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, thereby obscuring the earth's view of the sun, just like their fears obscure reality.
Yes, you heard me. An English major.
Now, the kids wake up from their dream and they find their Pinterest moonbird house destroyed, and whoever decided this was the only shot we were getting of these outfits will be contacted by my lawyers very soon. B8's outfit? Jail. And we end on a beat up Mingyu because we have to. He looks hot. And guess what the next title track was?